if these results do continue, and he has recently said that, look, at the end of the season, maybe I don't really want to leave.
Sure.
Do you think he has what it takes, though, to hang on past this season?
Well, it's so interesting, right? Because you talk about, you hear reports that Zidane had a meeting with them, and he probably saw the standard of the current team and thought, nah, I'll wait till the end of the season, right? But you always have to wonder. They bring Ole Gunnar in because he knows the system, he knows the club, he's a fabric of the DNA of that club. Yeah, I mean, he's won his first 4 Premier League games. What happens if they go on an unbelievable run to the end of the season? You're not sacking him.
But granted, it's been against, as people will argue, it's been against the Huddersfields, the Newcastles, with all due respect.
You still have to win those games. You still have to win those games. Shaka's not going to be happy that you said Newcastle. But
he won't at all.
At any rate, yeah, but you still have to go out and win those games. And I agree with you, but there's still a long way to go, right? Still a long way to go in the season. And what I know about football and sports in general is it's a wins and loss business. And if you're winning, more importantly, in Manchester United, the players are happy. If they ask Pogba and they ask Rashford and they ask all the big players, how's it been for the last 6 months? And they go, amazing. We love our football. We're winning football matches. You don't think they're bored? It's going to say, all right, hang on a second. We'll give this guy a contract. Of course they will.
Welcome into the ESPN FC studios, and look who's come to join me in the dungeon. None other than Tim Howard, fellow Goalkeepers Union member. Who better to ask? Now, Tim, every 2 or 3 months, the guys upstairs ask me who are the top 5 goalkeepers in the world. Yeah. Who are the 5 best in the Union right now, in your opinion? You can bail me out here. Let's go from number 5.
All right. Since you're not up there, I'm going to have to select someone else. But this is beautiful as a goalkeeper because these guys are amazing. I'm going to have to go with Oblak. There. He doesn't get enough credit because he's at Atletico Madrid. I know we know they're very good, but this guy is quality.
While we have Jan Oblak up, I got a question the other day on Extra Time. If we all think that Jan Oblak is so good, why isn't he more heavily linked with some of the bigger European clubs? Because
sometimes when he can only go up from there, and going up from there means 5 teams maybe, right? 5 teams which are all occupied by these guys, right? So there's not a lot of wiggle room for him. Like, you're not going to leave Atletico Madrid just to go anywhere.
All right.
So that's the big issue for him.
Number 4.
Number 4. Tough one. I'm going to have to put Ter Stegen.
Ooh, that's a big choice.
I'll tell you why. As of about 12 months ago, I wasn't sold on him as a goalkeeper per se. I thought he was very good with his feet. He was brilliant with his feet at Barcelona. He won a bunch of things there. But in the last 12 months, he has made some spectacular saves in big moments. And he's really starting to, for me, shine in the role that we all thought he could.
All right. We go from there to number 3.
David De Gea at Man United, number 3.
That's a big call.
Yeah, when I look across the board at all these goalkeepers, you talk about a guy who's consistent. I don't even know if he's made an error in the last 5 years, and I mean that wholeheartedly. I can't think of a time when you've looked at him and he's let you down, and he plays for arguably one of the biggest clubs in the world.
Maybe 12 months ago, I would have had David De Gea as number 1.
Sure, yeah.
Saying that, I'm agreeing with you here. Who you go with number 2?
Becker, and here's why. He has surprised me because coming into English football, as you know, is almost an impossibility as a goalkeeper. And so I thought to myself, I'll be interested to see how good he is at a rough and tumble pace in the Premier League, and he's been nothing short of brilliant for Liverpool, which hurts my heart, I must say, but he's been absolutely fantastic.
No, I'm amazed here. I can't wait for this. Who do you have as number 1?
Well, this is the greatest goalkeeper I've ever seen. But Father Time kicks all of our butt. And not to say that he's let anyone down, but the fact that he's on the other side of 40, I can't put him in the top 5. Ultimately, he's probably up there. But until someone
Manuel Neuer
unseats him,
that's a big choice there, Tim.
But in terms of being the best goalkeeper in the world, he's the best goalkeeper in the world.
Listen, I could see it, I could understand your reasoning, but give him the lengthy layoff last season with Bayern Munich, and then I don't think he covered himself in a whole lot of glory during the World Cup.
No, of course he didn't.
I feel he's been unseated. Now, I was asked to make this choice, was it 2, maybe 3 weeks ago, and I was slightly different, as you can see. We agree number 5, Jan Oblak, but then that's where it goes a little bit One key for me, Tim. I've got Edison at 4.
Yeah.
David De Gea at 3. We're totally in agreement with. Alisson Becker, who I agree with you, has been outstanding in the Premier League, maybe more so than we ever expected coming from Roma. I know exactly how good he was at Roma. But for me, I think Marc-Andre ter Stegen has established himself as number 1. I thought he'd have played for Germany in the summer. I think what you don't appreciate is how poor Barcelona have been defensively.
Correct.
But that hasn't really shown in the numbers because ter Stegen has been that good.
Yes.
So we'll agree to disagree
He's
on
been
some.
fantastic. Yes, he's been fantastic.
You haven't really gotten me out the woods just yet. But thank you very much. It's certainly given us a whole lot to debate here in the FC studios.
The one thing that keeps popping up is this Ronaldo, filling the boots of Ronaldo. There's 2 guys that have been played in Spain, Ronaldo and Messi, over the last decade or so, that nobody on the planet can fill the boots of, and probably never will again. Maybe the odd player will pop up on the odd season and get somewhere close to 50 goals. But nobody, and I mean nobody, I don't care about if it's Mbappe or Neymar or anybody, none of them will go a decade with the stats that these 2 have. It's just incredible.
But having said that, you can't just give Bale a pass, surely.
Not giving Bale a pass. Nobody wants to be injured, and he needs to play better. But every time I switch my phone on, I've seen it again today, former Real Madrid player smashes Bale. It seems to be a theme. I just don't know.
But he hasn't helped himself. The comments after the Champions League final don't help, do you?
No. Well, what was the comments?
Coming out and saying, I better start next season, I'm going to be looking to move elsewhere. You know, if you come out and say that...
That's normal.
Is it? After winning the Champions League final?
What, a bit...
To make it all about you? To all of a sudden, because you've been come off the bench, you scored those 2 goals, you actually contribute?
At the time of the Champions League final, there was a man still in charge who actually didn't fancy him much at all. So maybe there was just a frustration there. We can't criticise players for having a bit of passion. That's the way
it's not having a bit of passion, it's thinking about yourself at a time when
I'm
surely you should be celebrating the club's
sorry
victory.
about a player thinking about himself.
You're incredible. You are the biggest apologist for Gareth Bale.
No, I'm not.
You are completely. Always Gareth Bale. You give him a pass on everything for a reason I don't quite understand.
Well, you don't understand a lot. I think the guy's a fantastic player, but he's not playing anywhere near his best. I understand that.
So he deserves to be criticised.
But he gets more than anybody else. Do you expect him to get 50 goals like Ronnie and Messi every season? No. But he's not playing as well as he can. But you run through that Real Madrid team, and most of them are in the same boat. Some of them are probably worse, but they don't get it like he's getting it. Let's be frank here. He's been getting it at Real Madrid, whether he played well or not, from the minute he came in the door.
Because of his price tag. And that's just
because when things weren't going well, there was a guy called Ronaldo who used to throw his arms up in the air in the Bernabeu and make it all very.
But there's also a guy called Ronaldo who scored 50 goals a season.
Well,
and can do that.
And you're talking about Gareth Bale looking after himself, and you've got him doing that. Come on.
If Spurs win the FA Cup, is that a successful season?
Yeah. Top 4.
Yeah.
FA Cup, decent run in the Champions League. Absolutely. Absolutely. But, you know, they're such a fluent side at the moment. There's some young guys coming in. Llorente gets a game. We're able to change it up at the back again. Listen, I don't know what's going to happen to Pochettino at the end of the year, if it's Man United or not. But if he can get a trophy, at least it will put that to bed.
I think
we're winning.
Trophy or not, Pochettino will be okay. I think
I know it's okay.
If Spurs finish 3rd, that's more enough for a successful season. I don't think they have to win the FA Cup. When you consider who we both expect will finish 1 and 2, the money they spend, just how good they've looked. If Spurs, especially given how little transfer activity has gone on there over the last couple of seasons, if they finish 3rd, I think that's quite an accomplishment.
What if they finish 5th and win the FA Cup?
Well, still good, but not as good.
He said in the past, doesn't he? Look, he would have got sacked by now if all he did was win cups, as opposed to getting them in the Champions League on a regular basis.
Well, that's where the whole thing's gone now, isn't it? It's just become a frantic scramble for top 4, and that's deemed as success for some clubs. There are others like Maurizio Sarri at Chelsea. He'll get away with it this year if they make the top 4, but he won't get away with it next year because Chelsea don't deem the top 4 as a successful season. They want to be winning the league or competing in the Champions League. So, listen, there is budgets to talk about. There's no, as Shaq mentioned, you know, he hasn't got the biggest budget. They don't spend the most in wages. They didn't buy anything this summer. But come on, you've got a good enough squad of players to at least pitch up for the FA Cup and potentially win it. So I don't see where the downside is of trying to win it.
Welcome into Extra Time. Sid's only got 5 minutes before Martin Einstein commandeers his studio.
Hurry up.
In Madrid.
Hurry up.
All right. For Sid, do Barca really need Rabiot? Shouldn't they go all out for De Jong and De Ligt instead? Is it De Ligt?
Well, in theory, those deals are not mutually exclusive. So in theory, they can go for Rabiot and then go for these two as well. Frankly, I suspect that won't happen. I suspect that Rabiot will be the only deal that they do. I think the way that they look at it is that Rabiot is an opportunity, given that they'll get him for free, although the early suggestions are that it's around about 10 million euros a year, which is a lot of money to be paying him. But from their point of view, this is one that they should do because it's an opportunity. It's the right time. It's the right kind of player, and at a price that looks very good from their point of view.
That intro was one of the most boring that you've ever given.
What?
Sid's only
me
got
or
5
Dan?
minutes. No, not you, Sid. Sid's only got 5 minutes in Martin Einstein's and I tell you what, you've given some tediously boring ones over the years, and that's up there.
It wasn't supposed to be an entertainment, it was just an informative intro.
Well, exactly.
What did you want me to start juggling?
Who cares about Martin Einstein?
See, I could tell you now, given that we're now talking about it and therefore making it more important than it really was, I could point out that Martin Einstein is actually already here. He's hiding just off camera at the moment.
Get him in!
A bit like my dad did that time, but I'm not. But I'm not going to invite him in to wave from the side.
No, get him in to say hello.
Martin, come and say hello. Here comes Martin Einstein. There he is.
That's just. That's actually just made your intro.
But the thing with Martin Einstein is you don't want to see Martin Einstein. You want to hear him with that voice that makes the floor vibrate and Jurgen Klopp swoon.
Oh, right. Ask a few questions. Come on.
Go on, ask some questions.
Considering Aubameyang,
Come on, get on with it.
Considering Aubameyang is top scorer in his goal return since he signed, why is he still not considered, as a world-class striker at the same level as Kane?
I don't think. Have we had that discussion?
No.
Yeah, but I think if we name top 5 strikers, Aubameyang's not necessarily high on that
just
list.
Just because you're. No, I mean, Kane, Aguero, Morata.
If Arsenal were high up the table, we'd have that discussion. Look at me like.
Yeah, he's a quality striker. He's just had his issues, but this season he's doing well.
Finally, if you had to be stranded on an island with one member of the FC panel present or off today, who would it be? Also, who would you least want to be stranded with?
I'll go with Mark Donaldson.
You'd want to be stranded with him?
Yeah.
Why?
I could strangle him and I'd be fed for 2 years.
Wow.
He would just go off finding food for you.
Hey, even better.
He'd come back with like a giant bear. He'd killed it with his bare hands. And they sent a photo of it to the Scottish newspapers.
Such an in-joke.
Yeah, sorry, it's an in-house sort of joke.
Sid, who would you like to be with?
Well, I'm glad we're looking at it from a purely functional point of view, because I must admit, I did think who would be the least useful, and I suspect that Stevie Nichol's at the very top of that
list. Yes. Well, it's him and then Mariner. You'd get to this island and you'd be on your own and Stevie would be saying, I still can't get ESPN Plus on my phone. Stevie, we may have some problems trying to get some food.
What would Robbo be like on ours? Sure, Robson would be quite intense.
No, Robbo would
build it there.
Robbo would say, right, you attack it from that angle and we'll push the wing backs up there, right, and then we'll build a hut over there.
Oh dear. And then he'll somehow blame Wenger for the whole thing.
And he'll say, I'm still not allowed into Arsenal.
Right, that's it. We're done. Sid's got to go. Say hello to Martin and goodbye to Mike.
To be fair,
say Happy New Year to Martin for us, Sid.
If Robbo had
I will say Happy New Year to Martin. Martin, Happy New Year.
I think we should put Robbo and Casey in an island.
Robbo and Casey.
That'd what?
That's it. We're done.
Said you need to do this more often. Seriously, just quickly.
I do, don't I?
Yeah, what you need to do more often is tell the lie. You want to lie. Straight away, lie. Tell the producer you have to be there early.
Just turn up. Turn up and tell them that Martin's coming any minute now.
Yes.
I can make it up. I mean, every week I can just say a different person's coming. The Pope's coming this week, and we've got to hurry up because he's coming here to give a big address to the whole world, and we need to move on quickly.
And we can get in the studio early. Like bing bang bosh.
Yeah.
Get it out of the way.
Bish bash bosh.
Bish bash bosh.
Bing bang bosh. We are back. All of us
I didn't know there was a right way to say that.
All of us are back tomorrow, aren't we?
Yes.
Are you in tomorrow?
Yeah.
I am.
We're all in. We're in the studio.
Why is that a surprise? Why is that a surprise?
We only did a small studio downstairs.
No, we're in the big studio tomorrow.
My beard will be longer than yours tomorrow.
There you go. Accrington.
Mine is longer today, that's all that matters.
Not shaving this off, I'd say.
Neither me.
Doesn't suit either of you, let's be honest.
Right,
so we'll be back. Lots of highlights tomorrow, Craig. You'll like that.
God! Freaking hell, I need to have a day off. Bloody highlights. There's a goal. There's a cross.
All right, let's go. I remember the FA Cup really well growing up. Back in Trinidad and Tobago, of course, we didn't have as much access to English football as quite clearly somebody in England would do. But there was a show that came on every weekend called Road to Wembley. That showed the FA Cup and the build-up through the year. So it always had quite a prominence. The FA Cup in particular, even more so than the league, had quite a prominence in Trinidad and Tobago and our football as kids coming up. We got off to exactly the start we wanted, grabbed a couple of goals at a time where I thought Liverpool looked fairly starstruck. And that probably is reflective of the pressure that each team came into that game under. We got the lead, and then all of a sudden, that's when Liverpool started to play. And I remember Jibril Cisse grabbing the goal just before half-time, and I felt that was a huge turning point. And then the second half was crazy. It really was. There was no real pattern or plan to it, which on the one hand suited us because that's how we played all season. But on the other, you weren't really quite sure what to expect from Liverpool. And in the end, it was Steven Gerrard who decided it, both at the death and earlier on with Liverpool's second, his first. Even now, you know, it's some 12 and a half years since conceding that goal, and as much as people have spoken about it, it's still a bit hard to accept. I haven't seen many replays of it, but I felt like I had a clear sight of it all the way through, but it just, he hit it with too much pace, a little too much bend, and I couldn't get anywhere near it. Even as I reflect on it, let's see, that's 2006, I was 37 years old. I wonder if a 27-year-old me would have gotten a hand to it. But that's all to wonder about in hindsight. It's heartbreaking. I felt it more for Anton than anything else, because I would not put myself in those shoes. I would hate to think. I shudder to think of the pressure that he's under, and I never criticize anybody for missing penalties. So my immediate thought wasn't that we just lost the FA Cup final. Listen, as I say, I was 37 years old. I had seen there, been there, and done it. And as it turned out, that was my last game in English football. My more immediate and greater concern was for Anton, a young player coming through. How would he handle that disappointment with everything that he had to look forward to?
For more, sign up now for ESPN Plus.
Okay, boys, all ready to go? As we got into the tunnel, we had a way that we would line up, and I was normally towards the back of the group, and Alan Hunter and Kevin Beattie, our two central defenders, were always at the back. So we were lined up. The Arsenal players were right alongside us, and Malcolm MacDonald, who was the centre forward for Arsenal. He's such a nice guy. He turns to Alan Hunter, who's a ferocious Ulsterman from Northern Ireland. He said, "Oh, Alan," he said, "the very best of luck this afternoon." And Alan Hunter turned to him and said, "I'm going to break your beep leg." So I've gone, ooh, game on, here we go. I'm looking right down the tunnel, and all I could see was Arsenal fans, and I'm thinking, oh, maybe because we're a sort of a lesser known team, Ipswich Town, we're all our fans. Well, as soon as we got out into the daylight, if you look at the footage, you can actually see some of the players turning round because there's a wall of noise that hit you, and that literally the hairs on the back of your neck really stood up. I'm getting tingles now talking about it. And as we came out, there was the vast majority of Wembley was blue. It was a phenomenal, life experience when you go out and you hear 100,000 people going absolutely crazy, and then you've got to be somewhat cordial and be presented to Princess Alexander from the royal family. So it was interesting. But we played with vim, with vigour, with fight. We played to the system. Arsenal had one shot on goal the whole game. I hit the crossbar, Johnny Walk hit the post, I think a couple of times, and culminating in, ironically, Roger Osborne, who was the bone of contention during the week. Roger Osborne got the winner in the 77th minute, 78th minute. But we completely dominated the Arsenal, and it was an absolute joy to lift the trophy. We were staggered because we were going up, it's called the A12, which is a main thoroughfare from London back up to Ipswich. It's about a 60-mile journey, and every single inch of that road was covered in fans, scarves, you name it, flags, everything was there. So because we were slowed down because of the traffic, we told the gaffer we need to pull into Chelmsford because we needed to reload. So we reloaded, got back in the bus, and eventually, after a long journey, got to Ipswich for the sort of the unveiling in front of the fans. You can hardly, you can't see the road, you can't see any houses. It's just absolutely a wash and a mass of people, and something that even what was it, 40 odd years ago now. It's just quite a remarkable experience that I'm glad I went through.
For more, sign up now for ESPN Plus.